By now, you probably have a sense of the fact that I believe that there are a vast array of unseen beings and things influencing us all the time. And that I think it's very important for us to become multidimensionally aware beings because that helps us navigate our multidimensional reality. And so, one of the things as I have become much more present in my body, much more able to make decisions from my higher self, from my soul, rather than from my trauma, from my monkey mind. um, um, yeah. And so, one of the things that has become very clear to me along the way is the importance of learning to distinguish between what is coming from me, my heart, what's coming from trauma or reverse firing programs, what's coming from a person outside of me, what's coming from entities in my field, what's coming from entities in other people's fields, um, what's coming from the collective. There's a lot of that. Um, so there's a lot of interference. And the more that we get to know our own selves, the more we heal our own selves, the more we get plugged in to our higher self, our higher knowing, our heart knowing, the more that the interference becomes very obvious. For example, him, for example, a very good friend of mine and I had to break up with another friend of ours that we had both been friends with for more than a decade. And after that breakup, we both started getting thoughts or feelings about the other one that we both knew were not from us. Now, the way that I knew that what was happening was that, okay, my other friend was getting fears about our friendship, fears that I didn't love her or that she wasn't, that our friendship wasn't solid, or there's some, things along those lines where she knows for a fact that I love her very much and that our friendship is very solid. And so she could tell that she's like, wait a minute, these aren't actually my fears. These are not real. These are not my real fears. This is not from me. And like for me, for example, anytime I would think of her, I would get these thoughts that were kind of playing out in the back of my mind that were like, you don't want to talk to her. You don't like, nah. And it was very bizarre at first because I was like, where's that even coming from? Like, I know that's not me. And so, whereas in the past in my life, because I was not I was not as much in my body and I was not as much connected with my heart and with my deeper knowing, with my higher self, I could have very easily have had those thoughts and not realize that they were not mine. You know, I could have had those thoughts and allowed them to influence me, even though they felt wrong and not like they were from me. But because in the past, I would have been disconnected from my feelings, my true feelings, because I was so just, for one, there was lots of entities affecting me. I had, you know, various demonic creatures, discarnates, different thing. You know, I had my energy field was a disaster. My aura had rips and tears all up in it, you know, where I was leaking energy out. I was intoxicated a lot. So I wasn't even that, even like my brain wasn't fully online at every moment of consciousness, you know. And so I invite you to start questioning, you know, when you get thoughts, even about shopping, even about buying food or clothes, or, you know, there's lots of things where we might have interference, and the interference could come from commercial programming. There could be commercials that you've seen that are heard when you're listening to the radio or watching television or whatever, that you didn't even realize that the programming was going in there, because it was just like maybe you even muted it or whatever, but it's like it still got in. Or, you know, maybe there's some old programming from your parents that you still carry, even though most of you is not aligned with that belief, but it was a belief that your parents instilled in you from a very young age. And so it might not even show up all that often, but you know, when it does, it maybe there's something just slightly off where you're like, wait a minute, is that even me? What is even happening? And so, yeah, I invite you to try to be very conscious when with your thoughts. And yes, we've already talked about this, you know, in the previous weeks, but this is a different kind of conscious. Now we're getting into like not just being conscious of how critical you are of yourself, or how, you know, positive and negative or ugly and beautiful, you know, your thoughts are, but also where are they coming from? What is the source of your thoughts? Is it your heart? Is it your gut? Is it your mind? Is it something from your childhood? Is it your husband or wife? Is it your I don't know, your doctor? Is there some programming that is causing the thoughts? Is there some entity that's causing the thoughts? Whether that entity is Coca-Cola Company, or that entity is a discarnate that's in your field, that's been in your field since you were 20 or whatever, you know, whether that entity is, you know, of the demonic nature, or whether that entity is a television commercial. Think about the interference. Think about where your thoughts come from, where your feelings are coming from. I like to do this exercise as much as I remember. So it goes like this, and you can repeat after me if you're feeling adventurous. Dear heart, please lift all of the chaos of the collective and everything that does not belong to me, for my entire body and field now. Remember that deep breath. And so usually when we do a clearing, we replace it with our soul's essence or source light or something. But with that one, because that's stuff that doesn't belong to us, we don't have to replace. it because it's not leaving vacuum. It's not leaving like a hole because it's stuff that's like latched onto us. And so we don't have to replace it with our soul's divine essence. So interference. Think about it, consider it, do the chaos clearing. It's very helpful. Okay.